Good morning or afternoon, wherever you're from. Thank you very much for your questions. It's Q&A Wednesday, and we're happy to bring you some of the most awesome answers to the most difficult questions on the internet. Our first question comes all the way from Morocco, from El Khalil. El Khalil was watching one of the YouTube videos that we did, and that was on Sika Pro Max Concrete Repair. And it's a pretty cool product. I gave it a double thumbs up. I don't know, do we have a thumb rating? Like half a thumb, like 2 1/2 thumbs, 2/3, 1/3 of a thumb, or 1 1/3 of a, I don't know. We need to come up with a thumb rating. So we gave this material a pretty high rating, thought it was pretty freaking cool. El Khalil asks, can you explain what happens with that Sika product? And I would love to do that, El Khalil. Please bear in mind that I don't know exactly what it is in the 2 bags, but we can make some guesses, and based off of those assumptions or those educated guesses, we can talk about the chemistry maybe in a very general way. So first and foremost, when you look at the back of the Sika Pro Max blah blah blah, you have 2 compartments. The larger compartment is filled with what looks like a gray powder or Portland cement. It could be an aluminate-based cement. We really don't know what that gray powder is, but it definitely looks like something that we're used to. So let's assume that it's either a type 1, 2, or maybe even a type 3 cement. The other compartment is a liquid. Now, it's a translucent, bluish, greenish. It kind of looks like nasty skim milk. And who the heck likes skim milk? I think this is probably the best use that anybody has found for skim milk. And even though we know it's not skim milk, we can guess that it's some type of water, an accelerator, and maybe a water reducer. Now, the purpose of this product is to be mixed up in 22 seconds and then be squeezed into a patch, go through some type of either self-leveling or I don't know, we're putting a trowel to it type of leveling, so you actually need to put some energy to it. But it almost immediately, when I say immediately, I mean in the total length of that concrete patch, whether it's 5, 10, or 15 years, or maybe longer or shorter, it's going to set up in somewhere between 1 and 3 hours and then gain full strength at 24 hours, maybe a little bit more. But it gains strength very quickly, and to do that, it needs to have the minimum amount of water to kick off cement hydration. And please remember, this is a type 1, 2, or type 3 cement, or even a aluminate-based cement, it's still a hydraulic material. That means it needs water to kick off that reaction. But the second thing that's in there to really kick the tires and light the fires on that reaction is going to be some form of an accelerator. Now, accelerator they come in different forms, either chloride-based accelerator, non-chloride-based accelerators, which are sodium nitrite, sodium nitrates, calcium nitrites, calcium nitrates, and they all have their own uses. I believe the most popular calcium nitrite are the best non-chloride accelerators for corrosion inhibitors. And then there's a whole different slew of others like calcium formates. But anyway, we have some type of calcium in that liquid medium that when we mix it up, it takes that already taken off like a bat out of hell cement and takes it to the next level. So we don't have to wait hours and hours or days and days. We wait either minutes or an hour to set up that initial set time, that initial strength, so we can use it as a true patch material. So that's what's going on there in El Khalil. I will say that there probably is one other material like a high-range water reducer, a polycarboxylate style, or a naphthalene or a melamine-based water reducer. And what those do is they allow us to use less water, that water of convenience, to create the fluid properties that we want for our grout in this case, while still maintaining the water needed for hydration and getting that fluid property that we want to get that patch into the hole a lot faster and leveled off easy without any issues. Question number 2 plays off of question number 1. How do I make a fast-track pavement for a Department of Transportation project? And fast-track pavements have become popular within the last decade for a lot of these DOTs, and the concept is we still want to use concrete to create this fast-track pavement. There's 3 things that we want to do. The first one is create a concrete that is creamy and dreamy. Above all else, if we create a concrete that is not easy for the contractors to use, then your project is not going to go very far. At least the concrete that you design that they will be using won't go very far. So creamy and dreamy and easy to finish. The second thing is, and most importantly, the specified strengths at the specified times. That's not only compressive strength, but also flexural strength down the road. If you don't have those, you might get your concrete down on the job site, but it's not going to go very far from project to project. So normally, with these pavement type mixes, we need either 650 psi or 750 psi flexural strength at 1, 3, or 7 days, depending on what fast track pavement you're going for. But the biggest thing that we're going to see is compressive strengths. Back in the day when I created a fast track pavement for our local Colorado DOT, we had 4-hour strengths of 2,500 psi to open up the highway for traffic. We also did 6, 8, 12, and I believe a 24-hour. So how do you do that? How do you create a concrete that is not only creamy and dreamy, it meets the specifications, and as I've yet to forget, it also has to have a slump retention time. It has to have that window of life so folks can put it down into the slab, get that surface closed up before Friday 4:30 in the afternoon so they can go home. And it's actually a pretty tough thing to do. And I'm going to try to summarize it here in the next 30 seconds. I used to do it like a lever system. I used 3 things in my lever system. First, I started off with a binder package. I have to assume that my concrete mix is optimized, that I can get my 10 psi per pound efficiency, that I want to have 8,000 psi at 28 days, not to make something so brittle, but it could take off like a bat out of hell once I create the environment. So before I get into those 3 things, I want somewhere between 700 and 800 pounds of total cementitious, and sometimes I'll allow you to go over that if you're using a supplementary cementitious material. You want to make sure to use an optimized granular skeleton for your aggregate matrix so that you have to use the least amount of paste or binder to get that creamy and dreamy, that flowable. So that's my background noise. The 3 things that I'm going to focus on, which are going to be my levers that I use to control, the first one is going to be my high range water reducer. This gives me that creamy and dreamy gray concrete coming down the chute while using the minimum water possible. My second lever is going to be my accelerator. That's what's going to allow me to take that concrete to the next level, skyrocket in flight, afternoon delight, especially if I want to hit 2,500 psi at 4 to 6 hours. My third thing is what controls that rubber band effect. And the concept is, the third thing, which I call my hydration stabilizer, it's going to pull back. It's going to stop that non-chloride accelerator from working. It's going to hold back that energy until finally that absorption on the surface is overcome by the growth of crystals, and then whoosh, it just lets go, and that strength, that set sign, takes off so quickly that if you're not paying attention, it can take off without you being ready. There was one time, oh gosh, we were working at Coors, and the truck had just got there. And we told them, listen, from this point, you got about 65 minutes. And they're like, oh yeah, we've done this before. And man, they were just so rude about it. We're like, okay, do whatever you want. They dumped the concrete, went away, came back, tried to put the slip form paver over it, but the concrete had set because they had just gone past their dead by time. Now, they ended up having to get a bucket in to remove that concrete dookie that was on the job site. But when doing something like this, you have to respect the time. And to do that, using things in the field or in the lab to mimic what's going on in the field, especially the temperature changes, is not a bad idea. But going back to the chemicals, so I had a 0.35 water cementitious ratio, 700 to 800 pounds of my total cementitious. My high range water reducer is anywhere between 8 and 10 fluid ounces per hundredweight. I know that's a lot, but I'm using a little bit of this to control that setting up or that hydration stabilization. For my non-chloride accelerator, I'm using anywhere between 40 ounces and 140 ounces per hundredweight. And that depends on the accelerator, the type, the solids content. The third and final thing is my hydration stabilizer. And with this, your dosages can be anywhere from 0.35 all the way up to 10 ounces per hundredweight, depending on the solids content and the type of sugar or hydration stabilizer that you're using. Okay, next and last question. How do you make concrete fall asleep and then wake up exactly when you want it? So, there's a really cool concrete out there that I don't think I'm allowed to share the name. It was made by a big company years ago, and you can look it up online, but it is a concrete where you can mix up all the materials in your truck the night before, days before, and the concrete won't set up until a certain signal is passed into the concrete. And just a really cool idea, but not all of us are privy to that type of technology. So most of us have to use things like sugars. And there are some really fancy sugars out there, but the concept is we want to retain or stabilize those kinetics of cement hydration, and we do that by using sugars. We use salt as accelerators to kick off those thermokinetics of cement hydration. By using sugars, we effectively put that hydration kinetics or mechanics to sleep. Now the great thing about it is, in doing so, we actually allow one cement particle to dissolve even more. So we start developing a more dense microstructure so that when our hydration kinetics start to take off, when we dissolve that sugar and we've overcome that system with more salt than sugar, again, it's going to take off like a bat out of hell, and we're going to get some stronger concrete, albeit we do have to wait a longer time. Now, the easiest way to go after that is using just refined sugar that comes in a 10-pound bag or 50-pound bag. And what we used to do in the laboratory, we didn't start at the plant or the back of the truck, is we started putting pounds per cubic foot and measuring not only the time of strength or the time of set, but also the strength at certain time intervals, anywhere from 6, 12, 18, 24 hours, and then 7 and 28 days, depending on when we wanted the concrete to set up, fall asleep, set up, and gain strength. Please bear in mind that if you put too much sugar into your concrete, you can put your concrete to sleep, i.e. it might not set up for longer than what you possibly needed, or shorter than what you possibly needed on your job site. Thanks for your time. Don't forget, if you got concrete questions, concrete concerns, remember, we're the best in the industry. Go concrete. Oh wait, like, subscribe, check out our books. We've got some awesome concrete out there. Did I say out there? Mm-hmm. I feel like I said out there. Out squared there. Go concrete, beat asphalt.
Thank you.